the lights snap on, the music drops, and suddenly, the internet is on fire. In the opening seconds of what fans are already calling her most explosive reveal yet, Candace Owens leans forward, eyes locked on the camera, voice low and deliberate. "There's a story you were never supposed to hear," she says. "And tonight, I'm done staying quiet." Fans are shocked. Comment sections explode. Group chats light up. Because the name she drops next sends a ripple straight through social media. Cabot Phillips, better known to some as Erika Kirk's ex, and to others as a man with a carefully polished public image. But according to Candace, that image is about to crack. What really happened behind closed doors? Why are old friends suddenly going silent? And why are people who once stood united now scrambling to distance themselves? Emotions ran high as Candace teased receipts, hinting at private conversations, tense confrontations, and moments that never made it to the timeline. She doesn't shout. She doesn't rant. Instead, she lets the pauses do the work, each silence heavier than the last. When loyalty is tested, she says, you find out who people really are. Within minutes, hashtags begin to trend. Fans are divided. Some rush to defend Cabot, insisting this is nothing more than clout-chasing chaos. Others swear they always sensed something was off. Former allies are tagged. Old photos are reanalyzed. Innocent captions suddenly feel loaded. The internet does what it always does, turns speculation into spectacle. And then comes the line that changes everything. This isn't just about a breakup, Candace says. This is about power, control, and a truth that was buried to protect reputations. Cue the gasp. Because if even half of what she's implying is true, this isn't just influencer drama, it's a full-blown fallout with friendships on the line, families caught in the crossfire, and careers hanging by a thread. The family was left divided. Friends were forced to pick sides. And fans? They're refreshing their feeds, waiting for the next bombshell to drop. So buckle up, because what starts as a single exposé quickly spirals into a web of accusations, denials, and emotional reckonings no one saw coming. And as the screen fades to black, one question hangs in the air. Is Candace exposing the truth, or igniting the most dramatic controversy yet? The moment Candace finished that opening sentence, the room felt tighter, like the air itself was listening. She leaned back, let out a slow breath, and said she hadn't planned on telling this story, not like this, not now. But according to her, silence had become heavier than the fallout. She claimed people behind the scenes had been warning her for months to stay quiet, to let sleeping dogs lie, to protect good men with complicated pasts. That phrase alone sent fans spiraling. Who was being protected, and why? She said when Erika Kirk first called her late one night, the call wasn't dramatic. No tears at first, just exhaustion. Candace described Erika's voice as flat, like someone who had already cried everything out. "I don't know who I was married to," Erika allegedly said. Candace paused when she repeated that line, letting it echo. Fans are shocked because Erika had always presented herself as strong, private, and unbothered after the split. But Candace claimed that image was carefully curated, not just by Erika, but by people around her ex. Candace then shifted the focus. She said Cabot Phillips wasn't just Erika's ex-husband. He was a brand, a personality, a man whose reputation was managed like a political campaign. According to Candace, what the public saw was calm, measured, moral. What Erika lived with, she implied, was pressure, control, and constant image management. Not physical violence, she stressed, but psychological games that left no bruises and therefore no proof. Emotions ran high as Candace described dinners where one wrong sentence could turn into hours of silence, where Erika would replay conversations in her head wondering what she had done wrong. Candace claimed the first real crack happened at a private gathering with friends. She said Erika told her about a moment where a harmless joke turned into a car ride home filled with accusations. "You embarrassed me," Cabot allegedly said. Erika reportedly apologized repeatedly, even though she didn't understand what she had done. Candace said that pattern repeated itself over years. Small moments becoming moral failures. Disagreements framed as betrayals. Then came the texts. Candace said she was shown screenshots but chose not to display them publicly, at least not yet. She described messages where Cabot allegedly rewrote history, insisting Erika had imagined entire arguments. That never happened, he supposedly wrote more than once. Candace explained to viewers that this kind of behavior erodes a person's sense of reality. Fans are shocked because they recognize the pattern, and comment sections began filling with people saying, "This happened to me too." Candace didn't paint Erika as perfect. She admitted Erika could be sharp, defensive, and deeply insecure by the end of the marriage. But Candace argued that insecurity didn't appear out of nowhere. She said Erika slowly stopped speaking in group settings, stopped posting freely online, stopped laughing the way she used to. Friends noticed. Family noticed. But when they asked, Erika brushed it off. "He's just intense," she would say. "He cares about truth." Then Candace dropped the first major twist. She claimed the marriage didn't fall apart because of one big betrayal, but because of a secret ultimatum. According to her, Cabot allegedly told Erika that continuing the marriage meant stepping away from certain friendships and professional ambitions that didn't align with his image. Candace said Erika felt trapped. Choose the marriage or choose herself. The family was left divided when Erika confided in them. Some believed marriage required sacrifice. Others believed the request crossed a line. Candace described a tense dinner where Erika finally pushed back. She allegedly told Cabot she wanted to pursue her own projects without approval. Candace reenacted the moment with chilling calm. "If you do that," Cabot allegedly said, "don't expect me to stand beside you." That sentence, Candace claimed, stayed with Erika for months. She tried to compromise. She delayed decisions. She shrank herself. But resentment grew. Friends began to notice Cabot's absence from events. When asked, Erika would say he was busy. Candace claimed the truth was more complicated. Cabot reportedly avoided spaces where he couldn't control the narrative. Spaces where Erika was relaxed, outspoken, herself. Fans are shocked because old photos suddenly feel different. Smiles that once looked natural now seem forced in hindsight. Candace then addressed the divorce itself. She said it was quiet by design. No public statements, no messy leaks. But behind the scenes, she alleged negotiations were tense. Not over money, but over silence. Candace claimed Erika was strongly encouraged to move on gracefully and not speak about the marriage. "Think about the bigger picture," Erika was allegedly told. Candace paused again before adding, and by bigger picture, they meant his. The emotional weight of that decision, Candace said, nearly broke Erika. She wanted peace, not war. She signed, she smiled, she posted vague captions about growth and healing. Fans praised her maturity. But according to Candace, that maturity came at a cost. Erika felt erased from her own story. Then came the moment that changed everything. Candace said months after the divorce, Erika discovered something that made silence impossible. She didn't specify what it was, only that it involved conversations happening while Erika still believed reconciliation was possible. Not cheating, Candace emphasized, but something that revealed how little her feelings had mattered at the end. Erika reportedly called Candace shaking. "I feel stupid," she said. "I defended him." Candace told viewers that was the moment she decided she would speak, if Erika ever gave permission. And according to Candace, that permission came recently, after Erika watched people praise Cabot publicly for being a good man who handled divorce with dignity. Erika reportedly broke down. The family was left divided again. Some begged her to let it go. Others told her truth mattered more than comfort. As Candace continued, she addressed the backlash she knew was coming. She said people would accuse her of stirring drama, of exaggerating, of attacking a man's character. She responded calmly, saying character is revealed in private, not curated online. Emotions ran high as she looked directly into the camera and said, "If telling a woman's story makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself why." And just as viewers thought they understood the scope of the drama, Candace ended this portion with a quiet warning. She said what she had shared so far was only the foundation. There were layers involving friends who stayed silent, allies who chose convenience over honesty, and moments that would force people to rethink what they thought they knew. She took a breath and said the hardest part of this story wasn't the marriage ending. It was watching how quickly people protect power when truth threatens to make things messy. The next morning after Candace recorded that segment, she said her phone didn't stop vibrating. Messages from people she hadn't heard from in years. Some supportive, some nervous, some outright angry. She told viewers that what struck her most wasn't the denial, but the panic. People asking what she knew. People asking what she planned to say next. People asking her to reconsider. Fans are shocked because it became clear very quickly that this story touched more nerves than anyone expected. Candace revealed that one former mutual friend reached out first, someone who had been present during Erika's marriage from the beginning. According to Candace, this friend sounded shaken. "You're opening a door that was closed for a reason," they allegedly warned. Candace paused and repeated that line slowly. Closed for whose benefit? Because according to her, the door had only been closed on Erika. She then shared a memory Erika had told her about a weekend trip early in the marriage. It was supposed to be a break, a reset. But instead, Erika reportedly spent most of the trip anxious, checking her tone, choosing her words carefully. At one point, she allegedly expressed feeling lonely. Cabot's response, according to Erika, wasn't comfort. It was frustration. "Why are you making this about you?" he allegedly said. Candace explained how moments like that taught Erika that vulnerability came with consequences. Candace said Erika's parents noticed the change long before the divorce. Dinners became quieter, laughter felt restrained. Erika would glance at her phone before answering questions, as if anticipating correction. The family was left divided because when concerns were raised, Erika defended her marriage fiercely. "He's misunderstood," she would say. "He holds himself to a high standard." Candace said those words sounded rehearsed, like a script Erika had repeated so often she believed it herself. Then came another twist. Candace claimed that during the last year of the marriage, Erika began journaling secretly. Not for content, not for healing, but for sanity. She wrote down arguments immediately after they happened, afraid she would later be told they never occurred. Candace described reading excerpts that Erika later shared with her. Entries filled with question marks. Sentences like, "Did I overreact or did he change the subject again?" Emotions ran high as Candace explained how heartbreaking it was to see someone document their own reality out of fear it would be erased. Candace said one journal entry stood out. Erika had written about a conversation where she expressed wanting children someday. According to Erika, Cabot responded by questioning whether she was emotionally stable enough for motherhood. Not yelling, not insulting, just calmly reframing the conversation until Erika felt ashamed for even bringing it up. Candace looked directly at the camera and said, "That's not a disagreement. That's dismissal." Fans are shocked because many recognized the subtle cruelty in that dynamic. As the marriage deteriorated, Candace said Erika began confiding in a small circle of friends. But those conversations didn't always go the way Erika hoped. Some friends reportedly urged patience. Others reminded her of Cabot's public image. "Do you know what this would do to him?" one friend allegedly asked. Candace emphasized that question, not what this had already done to Erika, but what it might do to him. Candace then revealed that Erika once tried couples counseling. She said Erika went in hopeful, open, willing to take responsibility. According to Candace, the sessions quickly became performative. Cabot allegedly spoke in polished language, referencing principles and values, while Erika struggled to articulate feelings without sounding emotional. After one session, Erika reportedly cried in the car and said, "He sounds so reasonable. Why do I feel crazy?" That sentence, Candace said, haunted her. The pressure intensified as public attention around Cabot grew. Candace claimed Erika felt like a supporting character in her own life. Schedules revolved around his appearances. Moods revolved around public reactions. If criticism surfaced online, tension followed at home. Erika allegedly learned to preemptively reassure him, to distance herself from anything that could be perceived as disloyal. Friends noticed she stopped expressing opinions that differed from his. Fans are shocked because they remember when Erika once had a strong voice of her own. Candace then addressed a rumor that had circulated quietly after the divorce, that Erika was cold or unfeeling during the split. She rejected that narrative completely. According to her, Erika was emotionally exhausted. She had nothing left to perform. The calm people saw wasn't indifference. It was survival. The family was left divided again when Erika chose not to fight publicly. Some praised her dignity. Others accused her of hiding something. Candace admitted she struggled with whether to speak at all. She said she asked herself if this was her story to tell. But then she described a conversation that tipped the scale. A young woman approached Erika at an event and thanked her for being so strong and handling divorce the right way. Erika reportedly smiled politely, then cried in the bathroom. She told Candace later, "They think silence means strength. It doesn't." Candace said that's when she realized how dangerous the narrative had become. A story where Erika's quiet was being used as proof that nothing harmful had occurred. Where Cabot's composure was mistaken for innocence. Emotions ran high as Candace explained that silence can be weaponized, especially when one side controls the microphone. Then she revealed something that shocked even her. She said that after the divorce, Cabot allegedly reached out indirectly through a mutual contact. Not to apologize, not to check on Erika, but to ask whether Candace planned to speak publicly. Candace described the message as polite, measured, and strategic. She said that confirmed everything Erika had been feeling. Even after the marriage ended, control over the narrative mattered more than closure. Candace emphasized again that this wasn't about demonizing anyone. It was about context, about patterns, about understanding how harm can exist without explosions or scandals. Fans are shocked because the story didn't fit the typical mold of public breakdowns and viral accusations. It was quieter, colder, harder to dismiss. As she moved toward the end of this segment, Candace warned viewers that reactions were about to intensify. She said people would start choosing sides openly. Friendships would be tested, reputations would be questioned, and Erika, for the first time, was prepared for that. Candace said Erika told her, "I'd rather be misunderstood for telling the truth than praised for staying silent." Candace closed this portion by saying the next part of the story involved what happened when Erika finally stopped protecting everyone else's comfort. When she spoke honestly to people who thought they already knew the truth. And when some of those people realized too late that staying neutral was, in itself, a choice. When Erika finally stopped cushioning the truth, Candace said the fallout was immediate. It started with a single conversation, one that Erika had rehearsed in her head for weeks. She called a friend she trusted, someone who had been present at holidays, birthdays, and long nights when Erika needed reassurance. Erika didn't accuse. She didn't dramatize. She simply explained how small she had felt for years. How often she questioned her own memory. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then the friend said something that changed everything. "I wish you hadn't told me this." Candace repeated that sentence twice. Fans are shocked because it revealed how uncomfortable truth can be when it disrupts comfort. Erika reportedly hung up the phone shaking, not because she regretted speaking, but because she realized how alone she had been even while surrounded by people. Emotions ran high when Candace described Erika sitting on the floor afterward, realizing that honesty didn't always bring relief. Sometimes it just exposed how deep the denial went. Candace said word spread quietly at first. Not through public posts, but through private calls and whispered conversations. Some people reached out to Erika with concern. Others reached out with warnings. "You're reopening wounds," one message allegedly read. Another said, "This will hurt more people than it helps." Candace emphasized that none of those messages asked how Erika was doing. They asked how the story would look. Then came the unexpected shift. Candace said a former acquaintance of Cabot contacted Erika directly. This person claimed they had seen similar behavior before, not just with Erika. Nothing dramatic enough to call out publicly, but enough to notice a pattern. Charm in public, rigidity in private. Candace said Erika cried reading that message, not because it validated her pain, but because it confirmed she hadn't been imagining things. Fans are shocked because it suggested this wasn't an isolated dynamic. Candace then addressed the moment Erika confronted Cabot directly after the divorce, something Erika had avoided for months. According to Candace, the conversation was brief and controlled. Erika explained how deeply the marriage had affected her. Cabot allegedly listened quietly before responding with a calm, almost detached tone. "I'm sorry you experienced it that way," he said. "Not I'm sorry for what I did, but sorry for how she felt." Candace paused and let that distinction sink in. Emotions ran high as Candace explained how that response closed the door on reconciliation, not because it was cruel, but because it was final. There was no acknowledgement of harm, only a reframing of perception. Erika reportedly realized that accountability was never going to come. Closure would have to be something she created for herself. As Candace continued, she revealed how fans began dissecting old interviews and clips. Moments that once seemed harmless now felt loaded. Pauses, deflections, jokes that landed a little too sharply. Fans are shocked because hindsight changed everything. Comment sections filled with debates. Some defending Cabot fiercely, calling the story exaggerated. Others sharing their own experiences of subtle control and emotional erosion. Candace said Erika struggled watching the online discourse. Not because of criticism, but because strangers were arguing about her life as if it were a game. She questioned whether speaking up had been worth it. The family was left divided again. Some relatives urged her to step back for her mental health. Others reminded her why she spoke in the first place. "Truth isn't meant to be convenient," one family member reportedly said. Candace then introduced another dramatic twist. She claimed that during this period, Erika learned that certain friends had been feeding information back to Cabot while pretending to support her. Nothing explosive, just updates, mood checks, subtle reports. Candace said Erika confronted one of them, who broke down and admitted they were trying to stay on the right side of things. That phrase hit hard. Right side of what? Power? Reputation? Access? Fans are shocked because betrayal didn't come from enemies. It came from neutrality masquerading as kindness. Emotions ran high as Candace described Erika cutting ties quietly, without public callouts. She didn't want revenge. She wanted peace. But peace required distance. Candace also addressed rumors that Erika was being influenced or coached. She denied that strongly. According to her, Erika had resisted speaking for a long time. This wasn't manipulation, it was accumulation. Years of swallowed words finally demanding air. Candace said Erika told her, "I don't want to destroy him. I just want to stop disappearing." As pressure mounted, Candace claimed Cabot's circle began crafting their own narrative. Subtle comments, vague posts about growth and misunderstanding. Nothing directly naming Erika, but enough to frame the story as mutual incompatibility. Candace said that strategy worked for many. Fans are shocked how easily ambiguity can protect one side while erasing the other. Candace described a moment when Erika considered releasing her journals publicly. She ultimately decided against it, not because she didn't have the right, but because she didn't want her healing to become content. That decision cost her credibility in some eyes. If it was that bad, why not show proof? People asked. Candace responded firmly that trauma doesn't owe receipts to strangers. The emotional toll began to show. Erika reportedly experienced anxiety before social events, afraid of running into people who knew pieces of the story but not all of it. She questioned her instincts again. Candace admitted she worried about Erika, about whether the backlash would undo the progress she'd made. But then something unexpected happened. Candace said Erika started receiving messages from women she'd never met. Long messages, detailed messages, stories that mirrored her own. Marriages that looked perfect from the outside. Partners praised publicly for their values. Private realities filled with doubt and self-blame. Fans are shocked because the pattern extended far beyond this one story. One message stood out to Erika, Candace said. A woman wrote, "I thought I was weak because there was no obvious abuse. Now I realize I was just being slowly erased." Erika reportedly read that message over and over. It reminded her why speaking mattered, even when it hurt. Candace acknowledged that not everyone would believe Erika. Some never would, and that was something Erika had to accept. Closure didn't come from universal validation. It came from self-trust. Emotions ran high as Candace described Erika finally sleeping through the night without replaying arguments in her head. As this part of the story came to a close, Candace warned that the next phase would be even more uncomfortable. Because once the public conversation shifted, once people began asking harder questions, the response wouldn't be reflection. It would be resistance. Narratives would harden. Alliances would show themselves. And Erika would have to decide how much more of her truth she was willing to share, knowing every word would be dissected, doubted, and debated. The resistance Candace warned about didn't arrive loudly at first. It crept in through tone shifts and subtle reframing. She said Erika noticed it in the way people suddenly spoke more carefully around her, choosing words like miscommunication and misalignment instead of acknowledging pain. Emotions ran high as Candace explained how invalidating that felt. It was as if the story was being gently sanded down, smoothed into something less threatening, less specific, less real. Candace said one evening Erika attended a small gathering she almost skipped. She debated staying home, but part of her wanted to prove she wasn't hiding. The room was warm, familiar, filled with people she had once considered safe. Conversation flowed easily until someone mentioned Cabot's name casually, praising his composure and integrity. Erika froze. Candace described how Erika's chest tightened, how her hands went cold. She didn't interrupt. She didn't correct them. She simply excused herself and went outside. Fans are shocked because that moment captured how trauma can resurface without warning. Outside, Erika reportedly broke down. A friend followed her and asked what was wrong. Erika finally said it out loud. "They keep calling him calm," she said. "Do they know how loud it was inside my head?" Candace said the friend didn't know how to respond. They hugged her, but said nothing. Silence again. Familiar. Heavy. Candace then revealed that after that night, Erika stopped attending mixed social spaces altogether. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. She said Erika realized healing couldn't happen in rooms where her reality was up for debate. The family was left divided when some relatives worried this withdrawal would isolate her further. Erika disagreed. Isolation, she said, felt safer than constant minimization. Candace explained how Cabot's supporters began to frame the story as an attack on his character rather than a reflection on the relationship. Phrases like public shaming and character assassination started appearing. Candace pushed back hard. She reminded viewers that Erika hadn't named him publicly, hadn't accused him of crimes, hadn't demanded consequences. She had simply told her story. Emotions ran high as Candace asked why truth feels like violence only when it threatens power. Then came another twist. Candace said Erika was approached by someone offering to help her clean up her narrative. Media training, talking points, softer language. The suggestion was framed as protection. Erika declined. Candace said that decision was pivotal. For the first time, Erika chose authenticity over approval, even knowing it would cost her comfort. Candace described the internal conflict Erika faced next. Part of her wanted to disappear completely, to let the noise die down. Another part felt a responsibility she hadn't asked for. People were listening now. People were relating. Fans are shocked how quickly private pain can become collective reflection. Candace said Erika spent weeks offline, processing. She revisited old journals, not to relive the hurt, but to reclaim her voice. She noticed how often she had minimized herself even in writing. Sentences that started with, "Maybe I'm wrong," or, "I shouldn't feel this way." Emotions ran high as Candace explained how Erika rewrote some of those entries, not changing the events, but changing the language. Replacing doubt with clarity. During this time, Candace said Cabot remained publicly silent, which many interpreted as dignity. Erika interpreted it differently. Silence, she said, had always been his strongest tool. It allowed others to fill in the blanks in his favor. Fans are shocked by how silence can shape narratives more powerfully than words. Candace then shared a moment that deeply affected her. She said Erika asked her a question late one night. "What if they're right?" Erika wondered. "What if I am overreacting?" Candace said that question broke her heart, because it showed how deeply the doubt had been embedded. She reminded Erika of who she was before the marriage. Outspoken, intuitive, grounded. That woman didn't disappear, Candace told her. She was just crowded out. The pressure intensified as commentary channels and online personalities began speculating. Some exaggerated details. Others dismissed the story entirely. Candace admitted she regretted how quickly nuance was lost. The internet thrives on extremes. Erika's story lived in the gray. Fans are shocked because gray stories are harder to monetize, harder to defend, harder to believe. Candace said Erika considered issuing a public statement to clarify misconceptions. She drafted several versions and deleted them all. Every attempt felt like another performance. She didn't want to convince anyone. She wanted to be free. The family was left divided again. Some felt silence allowed misinformation to spread. Others believed speaking would only invite more scrutiny. Candace then revealed a powerful turning point. Erika attended a small support group recommended by a therapist. Not for public figures. Not for content creators. Just people. She listened as others shared stories eerily similar to hers. Relationships where harm wasn't loud or obvious, but persistent. Destabilizing. Erika spoke last. Her voice shook, but she didn't apologize for it. Emotions ran high as Candace described Erika leaving that meeting lighter than she had felt in years. That night, Erika told Candace something had shifted. She said she no longer needed everyone to understand. She needed to understand herself. Fans are shocked because that realization marked the beginning of true healing, not the kind performed online, but the kind built quietly. Candace also addressed criticism directed at her personally. She said she was accused of exploiting Erika's pain, of inserting herself into a story that wasn't hers. She responded by saying allyship isn't silent when silence protects harm. Emotions ran high as she defended her choice to speak, not as a savior, but as a witness. As weeks passed, the noise slowly changed. Some voices faded, others doubled down. Erika learned to stop reading comments late at night. She focused on routines, therapy, rebuilding trust in her instincts. Candace said Erika laughed more freely again, not because the pain was gone, but because it no longer owned her. Candace warned viewers that the next phase of this story would challenge even more people. Because once Erika stopped seeking validation, she started setting boundaries. And boundaries, Candace said, reveal who benefited from your silence. Friendships would end, new ones would form, and the illusion of neutrality would finally collapse under the weight of choice. The boundaries Erika began setting didn't come with announcements or ultimatums. They showed up quietly, in declined invitations, unanswered messages, and a refusal to explain herself over and over again. Candace said this shift unsettled people more than any accusation ever could. When Erika stopped over-explaining, some interpreted it as arrogance. Others took it personally. Fans are shocked how often access is mistaken for entitlement. Candace described a conversation Erika had with a longtime acquaintance who confronted her directly. "You've changed," they said, not gently. Erika didn't argue. She simply nodded and replied, "I hope so." That response reportedly ended the conversation. Candace explained that growth often feels like rejection to people who benefited from the old version of you. Emotions ran high as she emphasized how painful yet necessary that realization was for Erika. As Erika pulled back, Candace said new information continued to surface. Not dramatic revelations, but confirmations. Small stories from people who had crossed paths with Cabot professionally. Comments about how conversations always stayed on his terms. How disagreement was framed as misunderstanding. How he rarely raised his voice, but always maintained control. Fans are shocked because these accounts echoed Erika's experience almost word for word. Candace made it clear she wasn't collecting testimonies or building a case. These stories came to Erika unsolicited. She said Erika listened without interrupting, without reacting publicly. Privately, though, the weight of validation was heavy. It brought relief, but also grief. Grief for the years she spent doubting herself. Grief for the version of herself that tried so hard to make things work. Candace said Erika struggled with anger during this phase. Not explosive anger, but a quiet, simmering one. Anger at herself for staying. Anger at others for not seeing it sooner. Anger at a culture that praises composure over compassion. Emotions ran high as Candace admitted this was the hardest stage of healing. Acceptance is easier than reckoning. Then came another unexpected twist. Candace revealed that someone close to Cabot reached out anonymously. This person didn't defend him. They didn't attack him either. They simply said, "I think he believes his own version of events." That sentence lingered. Candace explained how dangerous that can be. When someone truly believes they are always reasonable, always justified, harm becomes invisible even to them. Erika reportedly sat with that idea for days. It didn't excuse anything, but it helped her release the hope that he would one day understand her pain the way she experienced it. Closure, she realized, didn't require mutual understanding. It required self-trust. Candace said this was also the point where Erika began rebuilding parts of herself that had gone dormant. Hobbies she'd abandoned. Friendships she'd neglected. Opinions she'd softened. She spoke more freely again, not loudly, but honestly. Fans are shocked how quickly a person's energy can change when they stop editing themselves. The family dynamic slowly shifted too. Candace said relatives who once urged silence began to understand why Erika needed space. Conversations became less about keeping the peace and more about protecting well-being. The family was left divided less often now because Erika stopped trying to manage everyone's feelings. She let them have their reactions without absorbing them. Candace addressed a common question viewers kept asking privately. Why now? Why not speak sooner? She answered by explaining that survival comes before storytelling. When you're still inside something, clarity is dangerous. Erika needed distance to name what had happened without being pulled back into doubt. Emotions ran high as Candace reminded viewers that timing doesn't invalidate truth. As public interest slowly waned, something surprising happened. Erika felt lighter, less watched, less scrutinized. She stopped feeling like every step was a statement. Candace said Erika finally understood that she didn't owe anyone a perfectly wrapped narrative. Her life wasn't a lesson plan. It was her own. Candace also reflected on her own role. She admitted the weight of speaking about someone else's pain was heavy. She worried about getting it wrong, about oversimplifying, but Erika reassured her. "You didn't speak for me," she said. "You stood with me." Fans are shocked how rare that distinction is. Candace then described a moment that symbolized Erika's growth. Erika ran into someone who had once minimized her experience. Instead of confronting them or shrinking away, Erika greeted them calmly and kept the conversation surface level. Afterward, she told Candace she felt nothing. No anger, no need to be understood. Just neutrality. Emotions ran high as Candace said that indifference was the real sign of healing. The narrative online continued to fracture. Some still clung to the idea that the truth had to be dramatic to be valid. Others began having deeper conversations about emotional harm and power dynamics. Candace said if nothing else, Erika's story cracked open a door for those discussions. Fans are shocked by how one quiet story can ripple outward. Candace acknowledged that not everyone would be satisfied with this kind of ending. There was no public apology. No dramatic confession. No villain monologue. Real life rarely offers that. Instead, there was growth, distance, and a woman reclaiming her sense of self. As this part of the story drew toward its end, Candace said Erika no longer checked what Cabot was doing online. Not out of spite, but because it no longer felt relevant. His narrative was his to manage. Hers was finally her own. Candace's voice softened as she explained that the most powerful thing Erika did wasn't speaking out. It was believing herself. That belief reshaped her relationships, her boundaries, and her future. And while the public might still argue, speculate, and pick sides, Erika had stepped out of that arena. Candace ended this portion by warning that the final stage of this story wasn't about confrontation, but consequence. Not punishment, but truth settling where it belonged. Because when someone stops carrying a narrative for others, those others are forced to carry their own. And that, Candace said, is when the real reckoning begins. So now it's on you. You've heard every layer of this story unfold. You've felt the tension build, the silences speak louder than words, the betrayals that didn't scream but still cut deep. You've watched how power protects itself, how comfort chooses sides, and how one person reclaiming their truth can shake an entire circle. And the biggest question still lingers in the air. Who do you believe? Because this story was never just about Erika. It was never just about Cabot. It was about how easily appearances can fool us, how often we praise calmness without asking who paid the price for it, and how many people are told to stay quiet so others can stay comfortable. Fans are shocked not because this story is extreme, but because it feels familiar. And now you have to ask yourself something uncomfortable. How many times have you seen this happen and looked away? How many times have you labeled silence as strength without wondering what it cost? How many stories like this never get told because the fallout feels too heavy? This is where the conversation doesn't end. This is where it begins. If this story made you pause, if it stirred something in you, if it reminded you of someone you know or something you've lived through, don't just scroll away. Engage, speak, share your perspective, because every comment adds another layer to the truth, and every voice reminds someone out there that they're not imagining things. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think silence protects peace, or does it protect power? Do you believe composure should matter more than context? Do you think telling your story is an act of courage or an invitation to chaos? Let us know where you stand. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to like this video. Not for drama, not for sides, but to push these conversations into spaces where they're usually avoided. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next, because stories like this don't end cleanly, and the aftermath always reveals more than the moment itself. Turn on notifications, because the next chapter may challenge what you think accountability looks like when there's no confession, no apology, and no neat ending. Just consequences, boundaries, and truth settling where it belongs. And most importantly, if you see yourself in any part of this story, remember this. Your experience doesn't need to look extreme to be valid. Your pain doesn't need permission to exist. And your truth doesn't lose value just because it makes others uncomfortable. Stay curious, stay critical, and stay with us, because sometimes the real exposure isn't about what's revealed on camera, but what you finally see when the noise fades and the silence can no longer hide the truth.